Hey guys, what's up? It's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel, Real Talk Recovery, where we talk about recovery from addiction and I share my life with you. So tonight, you guys,
I don't know where the remote control is.
Baby, the remote control for the TV is on the bed. Tonight is our Friday night, 7 p.m. Medically Assisted Recovery Anonymous support group. My name's Nicole and I'm an addict. My sobriety date is July 13th. Of 2015, and I'm currently utilizing medically assisted treatment. I'm on Suboxone, and I'm working on a taper, and I do Suboxone taper updates every quarter because I only go to my doctor every third month because I'm on quarterly. So if you are on Suboxone and you need support, this is the place for you. If you're on Methadone and you need support, if you're on any medication that the outside, normally people from other groups like AA or NA that usually say, hey, that's not sober, then you're welcome here at Mara. So I want to start out by reading the Mara format. So that's what we're going to do right now. Hey, Gunny. Hey, Amy. Hey, Cindy. Can you guys hear me okay? And we're also having a guest tonight. Hey, Reaper Man. Hey, Jeff. Okay, so I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to send Jeff an email, and we'll have him on to talk about his experience with medically assisted treatment and his recovery. So if you guys are struggling finding meetings for Mara in your town, you can go to marainternational.org, and you can find meetings in states that have them available. So, Medication Assisted Recovery Anonymous. One size does not fit all. Do you use medications such as methadone, naltrexone, Suboxone, disulfiram, antabuse, Camprol, Paxil, Provigil, Norpropin, Remeron, Bupropion, Wellbutrin, gabapentin, Sabril, Chemstro, Topamax, etc., that is prescribed and approved by the medical community to treat various drug and alcohol use disorders? Do you? Many addicts and alcoholics that are utilizing evidence-based science to aid in their recovery sometimes feel unwelcome. Here at Medication Assisted Recovery Anonymous, aka MARA, you are always welcome. Recovery is simply to recover from an unsafe lifestyle. Okay. So now I want to read the traditions, or the 12 steps to you guys. So these are the 12 steps of Mara, you guys. 1, we admitted that without help, we felt an inability to control our addiction and that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, we came to believe that, like all human beings, our power was limited and we needed to learn to let go and learn from others. 3, we made a decision to accept that we cannot control everything, assume a mindset of goodwill, seek the wisdom of responsible others, and discover our true voice within. 5, admitted to ourselves without reservation and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to listen to wise counsel and seek that still small voice within to guide us to change our behaviors which have been harmful to ourselves and others. 7, humbly began the process of deep change so we could overcome our weakness. 8, made a list of all persons we have harmed, became willing to make amends to them all, and to forgive those against whom we have held grudges. 9, we made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through self-reflection and meditation to improve our awareness and understanding of ourselves and the world around us. 12, as a result of these steps, we became aware of our true voice within. We came to realize our purpose and helped others find theirs. I'm so excited about what Medically Assisted Recovery Anonymous is going to do in the world, you guys, because it's just getting started. So I talked to Jeff, and he actually created Mara, and he runs their website. And so I messaged him to let him know that we have been doing a MAT support group every Friday at 7 here on my channel. And I messaged him to tell him that that we had started a meeting. And so he is going to add Real Talk Recovery to the website. So that way, when people go to mara.org to find a meeting, they'll know that they can come here on Real Talk Recovery and hang out with us on Friday nights. So I'm really, really excited. Like, I cannot wait to see Mara go all through the United States and across the pond into different countries. Like, I'm just so excited about it, you guys. And I truly believe that, so many people are going to be able to benefit from the program because of the non-judgmental, all-inclusive mindset, So let me read the format, and then we'll have Jeff on to share about his experience, okay? So suggested meeting format. We recommend using the following script. So here we go. Hi, my name is Nicole, and I'd like to welcome you to this Mara meeting. So we of Medication Assisted Recovery Anonymous believe that medication is a therapeutic tool of recovery that may or may not be discontinued in time, dependent upon the needs of the individual. And that's the Mara preamble. Mara meetings are solution focused. We emphasize no judgment of others, nor harsh judgment of ourselves. We ask that you not say anything which may interfere with the progress of another human being or one's own progress. On that note, there is no reason to talk about certain drugs or certain alcohols. We wish to maintain a safe lifestyle and help others to learn how to live this way. Tonight, we are going to be having a speaker meeting. At this time, please silence all your devices. If you have any papers you want to get signed, you can email me at demayon@yahoo.com and I will hook you up. This group is autonomous, independent, and may vary from other Mara groups. If you are new to Mara or from out of town and would like to introduce yourself, please do so now. So if any of you guys are new to my channel and haven't attended one of these meetings before, we want to welcome you guys. I'm so glad that you found the channel and that you're coming to hang out. I want you guys to know that there's no judgment here on my channel. There's no judgment with Mara, and wherever you're at in your recovery, we accept you and we want you to welcome you and to tell you to keep coming back and to never give up. Hey, Sherwin, what's up? I want to remind everyone that we do not give medical advice or directions to others. Any medical direction needs to be done by an outside physician. We must stress this because giving medical advice can be dangerous and could lead to death. We want to enjoy life, yet not forget that addiction can be a matter of life or death. Whether or not you are utilizing medication-assisted recovery, you are welcome here. We welcome all people seeking recovery from an unsafe lifestyle. Mara has no requirements, no referrals are needed. We have no initiation fees and no contracts to sign. Nothing is required of you, and you are free to come and go as you like. We will not chase you down nor attempt to make you seek recovery. You are a member of this fellowship when you say you are. We welcome all who attend our meetings with open arms. So, all right, you guys. I hope that you guys are excited. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to click off real fast and I'm going to send Jeff this invite, okay? I hope you guys are all having a good weekend. All lowercase. Okay. W101 5. Sorry, guys. At gmail.com. Gmail.com. All right. I'm sending you the email right now, okay, bub? So you should get that in just a second. All right. There we go. Okay, guys. So how is everybody tonight? I got that email sent out to Jeff so he can come on and share with us about his experience with medically assisted treatment and how his recovery is going and what's going on in his life and all the good, the bad, the ugly, and all that stuff. So I hope you guys are having a really, really good weekend. I'll have to tell you, yesterday was a struggle for me. I was really sad about losing the dog. Hey, Kristen, and oh, I don't deal well with like losing loved ones. And you guys, my dog, like Gizmo, was like a human being to me. You know, she was just so lovable, and I was just really sad that she passed away. You know. But I know she's in a better place and she's not in pain anymore. And that's really all that matters, is that she's in heaven, you know? So, what is everybody up to? How's everybody doing in their recovery? Are any of you guys struggling, or is anybody needing to talk or share anything? You guys know, if you need to talk about anything, you can always get a hold of me on my email, or you can text message me or call me at 501-991-5149. In fact, I'll put it in the chat for you guys. There you go. Bam. Okay, there's the phone number for Real Talk Recovery if you need to get a hold of me. And here is my email. Boom. You know, I think when the seasons start changing, you guys, like, I don't know how y'all were when you were in your addiction, but when I was in my active addiction, like during the summer, it was like I was running the streets, I was out because it was hot. And now that it's getting cold outside, I'm like, ooh, like I'm going to hide out and not come out of the house. I know, Candy. Yeah, so what's today? The 11th. Yeah, tomorrow is your 1-year sobriety birthday. And then I know Melissa, Candy, and it's Melissa, Candy, and Tiara. Y'all are all having 1-year sobriety birthdays this month. So congratulations. So Candy says that she's struggling with depression, you guys. And so we can kind of talk a little bit about that. And I can share some experience with you guys from when I hit my 1 year. So that way, maybe this will help you to not feel like that you're not going through it by yourself. So whenever I first, so I've always struggled a little bit with depression and anxiety. And when I got sober, I got on Lexapro. And the reason I got on Lexapro is because after I had my son, I was really struggling with postpartum depression. And I got on 10 milligrams at that time. And I relapsed, went back out. And then when I came back to sobriety, I got bumped up to 20 milligrams. And that was really kind of working for me at that time. Well, I don't know if it's just like the milestone of hitting 1 year, or if it's the anxiety, or if it's just like our addiction, like it's psychologically trying to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're on us. Hey, Eve, welcome. I don't know what it is, but every time that I talk to anybody, hey, Jeff, about their 1 year, I talk to so many people that have the same struggle. When they're about to hit their year, they get anxious, they get depressed, they just start feeling like almost like it's like this restless, irritable, and discontentedness. And the thing that my sponsor told me to do when I was coming up on my year, and I was feeling the same way, okay, she was telling me double down on what you do to stay sober. So if you go to one meeting a week, go to 2 meetings a week. If you pray in the morning and the evening. If you read your big book 3 times a week, every other day or something, or you do meditation, do double the meditation. Like, just try to double down and really focus, because once you get past, I promise you, it's like when I got past my year sobriety date, you guys, it's like that anxiety and that depression, it lifted off of me, and I felt like everything was better, So anyway, what's up, Jeff? Welcome to the channel.
Nothing much. Good to be here. Good to join you.
Hold on. I can't hear you. Hold on. Let me turn up my. It's not you. It's me. Okay, there you go.
All right. Is that better? Good deal.
Yeah, I just had my volume down low. So I want you guys, Jeff has a channel, and his channel is called The Recovery. And right now, so Jeff, I'm going to ask you some questions, and I think that will kind of help everything kind of go along smoothly. Because
That sounds
actually,
like fun.
I was watching somebody else that did a video together today. It was in the live stream, but it's pre-recorded, and it was like they asked the questions and the person answered. So first of all, can you share with everybody your channel and share with everybody why you started your channel and what the focus of your channel is?
Well, my name's Jeff. My channel is The Recovery. Basically, the main goal of my channel was to give recovery and the 12 steps to addicts, whether they were on Suboxone, Methadone, whatever that might be. Um, I know myself, my recovery was a long process because addiction was such a big part of my life, even from 6 years, even from 4 years old. I seen nothing but addiction growing up, and I know a lot of people have been there. So you don't just normally get to go from 100 to zero. I guess is the best way I can describe it.
For sure. So so can you tell us all, like, start from the beginning and kind of share with everybody what it was like for you when you were growing up and when you started to notice that you were feeling different, and when you first started using it, what was it that what happened to you when you were growing up that kind of shifted you into that lifestyle of getting high and into your addiction?
I'd say in my teenage years, I really had aspirations to be a drug dealer. Like I know it sounds crazy, but that was what was big. Like I grew up in the late '90s, and just I was somewhat poor, and that played a big role into me eventually getting addicted. Just being involved in, selling pot and all them things. I mean, in some terms, pot is a gateway drug, at least for teenagers. I'm not saying, because for me it did lead up to bigger things.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like now that I'm older, I think, like, I don't smoke pot today, but sometimes I think like I probably could smoke a joint and it wouldn't bother me now. But when I was growing up and I was little, it was like smoking pot is what kind of like being around other people that were drinking, smoking, taking pills, popping or snorting lines. That's what everybody was doing along with the weed, you know?
Yeah, and that's the way it went for me. It slowly progressed from like, I mean, I remember doing cocaine at like 14 years old because we couldn't find pot, because I was stupid. Getting high was getting high. I grew up in the era where they came in and told you, they had, drug education was pretty much drugs are bad.
Yeah.
um, so for me, my inhibitions were definitely down, and I didn't think really anything of it to go ahead and use cocaine. So, but for me, growing up, I mean, I overdosed at 4 years old from my mom leaving a bottle of Ativan on the counter where she had set me. So, like, you know, it was, I remember being 8 years old and knowing like my mom wasn't a normal mom. Like, I came home and like she'd be nodded off, like, so like, I think that did play something into my decision to, you know, to go the route I did.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure. And then actually, like, okay, so you know how it says that we're addicts before we ever take a drink or a drug inside of our body. And then when we take the drug into our body, it sets off that allergy. So at 4 years old, you had that, you took those drugs into your body, even though you were just four, and that allergy was set off inside of you, even though you were a young kid and you couldn't go and act on it anymore. That's like, I mean, imagine that's kind of like kids who are born when they're in their mom's stomach and they come out and they're dependent on, drugs. It's like a lot of kids that are like that. They grow up and then they have the disease of addiction later on when they get older. So do you think that because your mom was under the influence and because you had you know overdosed when you were younger, do you think that had a big part into why you picked up later on in life?
I don't know if the overdose necessarily played into it. I think growing up, like around the hustling, the conniving, the domestic issues that it caused between her and my dad. I believe all that's what really played a role into me using later. I wouldn't say the overdose, but I'd say it was my environment.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and I never realized like what was wrong with my dad, and then like later in life I realized it was just him dealing with you know everyone who was an addict in the house. So we all it was hard on him. I mean and around that time, when my mom was, growing up, there wasn't support groups for my mom. Like, I wish my mom would have had these things because, don't get me wrong, she wasn't a terrible person. She had an illness. She really did. I mean, and she, I think her not having support fed that addiction even more because she would be expected to just quit with no support. Just why can't you put it down? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I'm so glad that we got these platforms to be able to reach so many people because
For sure. For sure. So after you got older and you started like you kind of like wanted to get into selling drugs because of the money, I'm sure like when you're a young guy and you see all these guys like with the gold chains and all the money and the cars and the rims, like I can totally see where, that could be a appealing lifestyle. When you first started using, like, did you start out on opiates or did you just like you went from pot and then what did you go to? What was your progression? How did it go?
the way it progressed for me is like I sold pot for years. I smoked pot and I drank on the weekends and stuff. And I really didn't dabble with pills until later in life. Now I did coke, I did ecstasy and a lot of party drugs. But so I mean, I was an addict before I ever touched opiates. For sure, because I used most of my teen years almost on a daily basis. So for me, I'd say it was about 19 years old. I had a fall. I went to the ER and I got a prescription of Oxy 40s. When I left the ER, I was in there for a day. I had fractured 3 ribs and I went home with a bottle of 60 Oxy 40s and a bottle of 180 Percocet 5s, and in the beginning, I remember getting sick just from taking 140. And I remember my friend, I was trying to get rid of him to a friend for Vicodin or something that I could actually take without throwing up because, throwing up with broke ribs is just terrible. Well, he's like, take it, break it into quarters and snort a piece at a time. And, just do a little piece at a time so you don't get sick. And it went from that little quarter of a piece get me by the whole day within like 3 to 4 months where my script wouldn't even last me 2 weeks. My tolerance just it built right up, and a lot of that was probably due to the addict in me, too. So yeah, I think 19 is when I really got into the opiates.
When did you realize that so you got into the opiates. When did you realize that you were addicted? When was the first time you thought, I'm an addict. I've got a problem. I need to get help?
I'd say within that first year, I remember making a call after like being on oxys for 6 months. I was out. I'm freaking out. My mom was still around at this time, so we ended up using together for quite a while, And I remember me and we're both searching to try to find something, and I realized that I did not want to be like my mother, but here I am on the phone, searching with my mom for a fix, and I knew right then, I'm like, if I don't stop it right now, it's going to be a long-term problem. And I went ahead, I hung up the phone, and someone called me back within a minute or two and had some oxy. So that thought was short-lived.
Yeah. That's how it is. It's like you have it comes in and you're like, I can't do this anymore. Like, but then when it's like that relief comes and it's there and you can get it, it's like such a temptation. I can remember trying to get sober so many times or thinking like, I've got to stop doing this. And then in the same sentence, I'm like, okay, let's get high. It's like, if it's there, I was going to do it. I could not say no.
And that's one reason I always recommend to people, man, find some type of positive support in your life because you're not going to get clean hanging out with your people you think's your homeboy that you got high. You know what I mean? It just don't work. Like I mean I probably stayed addicted an extra 5 years because, you know, not wanting to walk away from certain people, different things like that, you know.
So,
Like you said, I mean,
how many times did you try to get sober? Like, and if you, when you tried to get sober, were you going to treatment? Did you go to outpatient? Did you go to, tell us about how all that went down.
Well, okay, I was on oxys for quite a while. I ended up getting put in a spot where the doctor that was writing me the script was a trauma doc. After 1 year, it wasn't a traumatic injury, it became a chronic injury. And I had no insurance, no way to pay for a doctor to see a pain doctor or anything like that. So I knew I was addicted at this point. I tried to go to a methadone clinic to get clean. And not saying nothing bad about methadone clinics. I support all maintenance. For me, I don't think I didn't have the right education and support with the methadone was a big part of me not having success with that because all I was given was the medicine. You know what I mean? I wasn't given any other tools to help me deal with that. So I went to the methadone clinic for quite a while, but it was like a crutch. It wasn't, you know what I mean? It became just a crutch and a part of my life. It really wasn't. I'd say after the first year and a half, it wasn't about trying to get clean. It was just like a part of life, just like doing dope every day, you know, because I was abusing other drugs with it. I wasn't, you know, they did have protocol where I was going to the clinic as far as like, you know, you couldn't be on certain medicines unless you were prescribed. Your doctor knew you were there. But back when I went to a clinic, I had a doctor that was giving me Xanax bars with 150 milligrams of methadone, and you know he knew.
Damn.
He was actually he ended up still giving me Loratab 10s, knowing I'm on. You know, this was back in you know early or 2000. Let me think. 2008, 2009. It was back before they really cracked down. So yeah, I mean, you know, so time went by. I had some legal issues, and I would try, you know, I would try again. I remember going to some NA and AA meetings way back in the day, and I just, I don't think I really was, you know, I didn't have the real desire, you know, to do it just yet. But I mean, at the same time, I didn't want to live like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally. Do you think that if you had therapy, like a counselor, and maybe group meetings that were required by the methadone clinic, and like, do you think maybe you would have been more successful and done a little bit better if they had maybe required you a little bit more of you to show that you were trying to get better instead of just coming in and dosing?
Oh yeah. I think they should have definitely had more in place, but you know, this back then there wasn't many clinics like that even. You know, there was like one clinic that serviced Kentucky, Ohio, and Indiana. You know, the tri-state area that I lived in, there was only one clinic back then. So I think, you know, but I do agree. Yeah, support meetings and counseling would have definitely benefited me.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I just didn't have no tools to do anything different, you know.
Right. Totally understand. And I think that a lot of people are kind of set up for failure if they don't understand that the medication isn't going to cure them. It's not going to do anything if you don't do the work. Like, you can get put on methadone, Suboxone. If you're an alcoholic, you can get put on antabuse. You could get put on naltrexone. But if you're not like actively wanting to change your behaviors and your lifestyle, then it's only going to get worse. And you're just going to be, like you said, almost just, that's what it means to replace an addiction, is when something comes in and what you were using right in place of it, you slide that out of the way and something else comes in and fills the hole and everything else stays the same. See, when you get on Suboxone or methadone and you don't and you do work a program and you do get into therapy and you do go to groups and you do things to change your life, the medication slides in, pushes the addictive drug out of the way, but the behaviors and everything you're doing around it also change because you're going to therapy, you're doing your meetings, you got to whatever it is that you're doing. It's like there's a difference between, you know, being a bit dependent on medication and then being actively addicted and just running around, you know, just using it to get by.
Yeah, because I mean, due to me not doing anything other than just taking methadone, so I'm spending $14 a day to drive about 100 miles round trip. Well, I'm spending $14 to dose. Then I got to pay for gas to drive 100 miles round trip, and I got stuck in this cycle of just, you know, always have all my money going out just to go to the clinic, and then, you know, since nothing changed for me, you know, I mean, I was just living a rough life. I was living in like trap motels, bouncing around between different bad motels, you know, to live from one to the other. But I even had a time where I ended up overdosing because I was.
Tell us about that. Tell us about that.
Well, I was prescribed benzos at the time, and I would go to my doctor, and I'd go back and forth, you know, between Xanax bars and Klonopin. And at the time, I had quite a few Klonopin, and I was taking them, and I ended up mixing them with Soma. Mind you, I'm on 150 milligrams of methadone at the time. And I went to bed, and for some reason, when I went to bed in this motel where we were staying at the time, there's no way I would have woke up the next morning. I know for a fact. But for some reason this night, the cops show up at our door looking for some girl that was like a known prostitute or something. Mm-hmm. And they ended up coming to our room, and they run everybody in the room, how they, you know, normal procedure. I always had warrants for like driving under suspension, just dumb stuff back then. And anyways, I end up getting taken to jail. I'm sitting there, you know, doing the fingerprint thing, getting booked in, and it's the Hamilton County Justice Center, so it's a pretty good sized jail. And I'm in there, and they have me go sit down after they get everything from me, and I'm sitting there with, you know, quite a few different guys. And, you know, this is an inner city jail, so I'm sitting there, and the guy next to me, I remember like I could hear what was going on, but I didn't know, you know, I could just hear it. And he's like, dude pissed his pants, you know. And anyways, yeah, I know, I can't believe I'm telling this, but the reason I'm telling is because I want people to know, I mean, this disease is so dangerous. Basically, they end up trying to throw me in the shower to get me to come to. I don't come to. I end up on the floor of this shower, you know, a jail shower, which is the worst place you ever want to end up in. You know, it's just horrible thinking about it. But they end up rushing me off to the hospital after they realize I'm not playing. You know, so I wake up the next day, and I'm looking around. I realize there's a sheriff there, and I start remembering everything that happens. And I realize I'm in a UC hospital, and I'm like, oh yeah, well, I'm prescribed this and that. I need this, you know. And that was the first thing that came to my mind. Not that I died, not, you know, I mean, it was just crazy that the next thing I wanted was more medicine, because I had never worked on my addiction the whole time being in the clinic at that point. And
that's the insanity of the disease. Like, you can literally die, wake up, and then be like, okay, let's go get high. That is the insanity of it. Any normal person would be scared to death. Any normal person would be thanking God in the heavens that they made it alive. But we're like, oh shoot, I gotta go get my dope, or I gotta get out of here so I can go get high. I have totally been there, and that's like the worst feeling, or at least when I look back on it and I realized that I was so sick that I thought about getting high after almost dying, then I'm like, wow, I was so sick. And so you were really, really sick to be thinking about getting high when you almost lost your life.
Yeah.
That just shows how much our lives didn't matter to us.
Yeah, and that's one thing I went on for some time. I got kicked out of the clinic at that point because the hospital notified them. And even after that, like, I remember the doctor in the clinic, I was begging him not to kick me out because I knew I was going to be horribly dope sick, and I didn't even think they would be allowed to just cold turkey me at, you know, as high a dose as I was at. And he was like, look, I'm not having no part of your death. And I was just like, you know, what an asshole. That's what I thought, you know. And
Right.
he was really trying to protect me from myself, but I remember being like, "Oh, this is completely and utterly wrong," and but I mean, that wasn't enough. That's the scary thing is like, um, it took so many things that happened. Like, uh, one thing even with my mother passed around the time I got into recovery, and I don't mean this in any type of bad way, but when she passed, it was a little easier for me to be sober because, like, even though I wasn't living with my mom, she was in a nursing home at that point and not doing too well because she abused her body for years. But the fact was, is when I did go see my mom or dad, they were at the same place, and I remember getting out of prison and going to see my mom and dad, and I remember they're both crying because they're on their youngest son. I just got out of prison, and they hadn't hardly talked to me in a year, and I walked in, I see them, I hug them, they're crying, they're so happy, but as soon as my dad left the room for a second, my mom's like, you got anything? Like, and she knows, like, I was telling her how I plan to stay clean and I'm trying to get into recovery. Um, and it was just, that vicious codependent
Yeah.
relationship, and even me and my wife, we luckily have made it through the years of using together, but I don't think we would be here today had we not like got in groups that taught us about codependency and different things like that because otherwise you stay in cycles. If you don't educate yourself to not do it, you're going to keep doing it.
So you and your wife were in active addiction together?
Yeah. I mean, we had like when I got locked up, we had some time apart. Where we both were able to work on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we didn't, so we were pretty much completely apart when we got clean.
So when you were in prison, she got clean?
Yeah. She tried to, she got herself together because she didn't want to lose her son. It was getting to the point to where somebody was going to file for custody if she had not got clean and stepped up. So me and her were both at the end of our ropes by that point. So it worked out to where when I got out, I was staying at a homeless shelter and plugged into like a small. It was actually Celebrate Recovery. That was the first real introduction to the 12 steps I had. But these people, no matter whether I was on maintenance, anything like that, these people supported me as long as I was living right.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't, you know, they encouraged me to be honest with myself. You know what I mean? And that's one reason I think it's a shame that people are told not to speak at NA or, different things like that because anyone who's struggled with addiction knows it's a long path to get to where you have complete abstinence. I had complete abstinence for the first 2 years I was out of prison. And, I
So what
relapsed.
happened? What made you decide to get on Suboxone? What happened?
I relapsed, and it was, I'd say, maybe 3 week period, but I was still within that 3 weeks. It didn't take no time for me to start getting dope sick again, even though I had almost I close to 3 years I sober. It didn't take a week before using opiates, and I was back addicted. The
Yeah.
dope sickness was just as bad as it ever was. They say when you relapse that, your tolerance is all that comes right back.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
if you've ever heard that.
You pick up where you left off in your addiction.
Exactly. Thank you. And that's exactly what I did. And, but luckily the one thing that was different was I stayed plugged into people from my church, my 12-step groups, my home group. And so I got back to going to meetings, and I knew for myself, I went on maintenance. I knew people it had worked for, and I went on that because I didn't want to take the chance. Uh, you know, I didn't want to take that chance because I mean I was seeing people die left and right from using heroin, and I just didn't want to take that chance because that's what I actually used. Like most of my addiction was pills and more pills, but when I relapsed, that's what I was using.
So when you got on Suboxone, how long did you stay on Suboxone before you transferred over to Sublocade? And can you tell everybody like what that was like to go from Suboxone to Sublocade and how you feel now that you've been on it?
I love Sublocade. My wife's actually the one who found out about it, but basically, I was on subs for, I don't know, it's probably 3 years by the time I switched. And I would recommend, I wouldn't say 3 years, but I would recommend if you're getting off, if you're just getting into maintenance, I would stay on the subs for a while, make sure you're good before you transition, because I don't know that I would have been as successful just coming off dope to the Sublocade. But for me, I love that, the Sublocade just, it's been cool to go. It's been good to do. It's broke some of the mental habit of taking Suboxone.
Mm-hmm.
Just because and the only reason I say that is when I was on pills, I still had to, you know what I mean? It was
It's
that
like a ritual.
yeah, it's a reminder,
Mhm.
and so it's been neat not to have that. Now, I didn't get sick by any means switching, but it did mess with my head. There
Yeah.
was times I was like, I don't like this, but that was my ad. You know what I mean? Like, it was because I couldn't control how I took it, when I took it. You know what I mean? It
Yeah, and
really,
our mind is so strong, like psychologically, like taking Suboxone and knowing you took it, and then with the shot, it's a once a month shot. So you're not
yeah,
doing that hand to mouth. You're not doing that. It's kind of like cigarette smoking, that oral fixation. It's the same thing with dosing yourself with Suboxone. Now you're not dosing yourself every day. So in your mind, you're like, am I withdrawing? Is it really working? Like it's psychological. You can psychologically put yourself into withdrawal. You know what I'm saying? Like
oh
your
no, I
mind
mean,
is that strong.
there was a couple of days like I was like, am I feeling? I'm not feeling that great. Am I starting to get sick? You know how
Yeah.
exactly what you were saying it, but I realized that when a half hour went by, I got on with my day. That it was just it was in my head, but myself, I really enjoy it. I am going to try to eventually go get off maintenance altogether. Now, if it don't work, I know I would rather be on main. That's one thing I'll tell people is don't let nobody tear you down. Is if you're living a good life, um, there's no shame to it. I mean, I'm very open about who I am, my recovery with everybody. I go to a Baptist church in a small town in Ohio, and I'm open to everybody there about it. And no one really. I don't get too much judgment. I think, but like I said, with Sublocade, it's been really good. Just
So
because
having the shot once a month, you don't like now that you're used to taking it once a month, you don't feel anything different in the whole month. You just feel regular.
yeah, I feel just like as if I took my Suboxone. I
Okay, so
don't
like
feel
let's say it's the week
just
before
like
you go to get your shot. Do you start like maybe 2 days before you get your shot? Can you feel it wearing off, or is it still in there? Does the shot
I
hurt? Tell us
I'll
that.
tell you what, that's the one thing me and my wife said the first couple months that we switched was doctor day was so much easier because there was no stress. Like, I didn't feel on edge. I didn't feel like my medicine was wearing off. I'm trying to figure out exactly how Sublocade works because I've heard different things that like it stays in your system for a really long time as far as from what the drug reps have told me.
Hmm.
And that's one thing that they say is why it works so well is because I guess it's the slowest type of taper you can do as far as how it comes out of your system. I don't know that that's true 100%. So when I get to 2 more months down the road, I'll let you guys know kind of how it goes when I try to go without that.
I want to look and see what they say about it because I want to know too. Like, okay, it says buprenorphine extended release injection for is a prescription medication used to treat adults with moderate to severe addiction to opioids who have received an oral transmucosal uh, buprenorphine containing medicine at a dose that controls withdrawal symptoms for at least 7 days. So I guess you have to be on the regular Suboxone for at least 7 days before they'll put you on Sublocade.
Yeah.
Okay. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. I wonder how it, I want to know how it works in your stomach. So they shoot it into your stomach.
Yeah, like they'll do it right around your belly button. They'll do like, two on each side, and then they'll go to the next side. They'll do one above to the left above my belly button, one to the left below my belly button, and then they'll go to the right side. And
what does it feel like? Does it burn?
Oh, it burns. I mean, it hurts, but only for like 2-3 minutes. And honestly, I've thought I lost it, 2 weeks of Suboxone before. So to not have that worry of if I misplace my medicine or something like that, it's free,
right. And it's also breaking that habit of taking something every day. So that, that's a behavior that we practice in our addiction, especially for us people that are pill poppers. Like a lot of times that you'll hear people say, that maybe they say they get addicted to their Suboxone, and what they're addicted to is the act of dosing. You know what I mean? And so to be able to switch to something that you don't control is probably better for the addictive behavior,
Yeah, and I went back and forth. Like I said, my first 2 months on it, I did have a little back and forth, but I realized, when I was honest with myself, I wasn't sick at all. It was just me having to relinquish, let go of that control.
Right.
And for me, I feel it'll help me when I get to that point where I'm going to try to get off maintenance completely, because I've tried to wean down, and I don't know, like I've had ups and downs with that,
Right. So if they wean you with Sublocade, would they just give you half the shot 1 month and then half of that?
Well, okay, I asked last month because I was wanting to try it for like 3 or 4 months, and I've been back and forth on it, but I asked my idea when I switched was I wanted to do it for 6 months and then stop and see if I could quit maintenance. So I asked last month, and the nurse that administers my shot at my doctor's office, she said that you do the 300 milligram shots when you start. Okay, now the milligrams are completely different because it's a completely different form of epinephrine. It's I don't know if you read up on it. It's angelial technology. I forget, but it's the milligram, the dosing. It's a little different, but it's pretty much the equivalent of 2 a day when you start, and then you do that for 2 months, and then after your first 2 months, you go to 100 milligram shot. You do that for 4 months, and then you're done. Is what they recommend. Now you can do it for a year if you want. If you're not ready. So, but from what I understand is it builds up in your system, and after that last shot, it comes out of your system over a really long period of time. Like the drug rep said, they had a woman that had actually did it and had a baby, like, I don't know, 10 months after her last shot, and she still was positive.
Okay, so it slowly just comes out of your system. So you don't. Are you not going to go through withdrawal?
I've read. If you look in the forums of people who write about their experience with it and stuff, because that's what me and my wife did before we switched over. There was a guy who did it because he had to do 2 months in jail. Okay, so he went, did a 300 milligram shot because that's the only thing they could come up with him and his doc to try to make his 2 months in jail easier because he was on Suboxone. So his doctor gives him the shot. He goes, does the 60 days in jail, and never went back. Said he never got sick. Said it was a year later, and he never went through withdrawal. So, I mean,
maybe, dude, if that's true, I need to get switched over to the shot so that way I don't have to worry about doing all this tapering. You know what I mean? Like, because tapering is difficult, especially because I have the pills. So having to break them in half and then in quarters, and it makes it harder to get down to those little pieces, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And for me, I mean, I'll be honest, for me, when I pay for my doctor, okay?
Yeah.
I pay for my visit at least.
Right.
So I won't lie, like it was always hard for me to even tell my doctor to wean me because I'm like, I'm gonna pay the same amount whether I'm getting 2 a day or a quarter a day. And I
Yeah.
know that sounds terrible and not the right type of thinking, but
You want to get your money's worth.
yeah, I mean, I won't lie. Like it, old habits die hard. So like,
Yeah.
um, and that's, it is hard. Things like that people don't realize. Like, and that's one reason I get flustered that there's not more support for people on Suboxone because it's proven it saves a lot of lives for people to be on Suboxone or Methadone, and no matter what someone wants to say, it's a completely different. If you're on subs, going to work every day, not chasing dope, not doing no other drugs, that's a whole different life than being on the streets chasing dope. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, for sure.
and,
Yeah.
and that's why I don't understand this whole stigma. I get that there's people who abuse it or this that, but you got that with everything. But
Right.
I mean, I know 30 people that I know very well that I ran with that are dead and gone. And that's a lot of people. To be dead and gone before the age of 40 years old. From addiction,
Yeah.
and I'm sure a lot of people watching have more than one friend that's overdosed. So, for this stigma to be out there where people are acting like Suboxone's like doing heroin, it's crazy.
That's why we have to keep on sharing our experience and our success with the medication, because for every one of us that shares our success story, there's going to be 5 people sharing their negative story about Suboxone or Sublocade. And so we have to keep on sharing, how because here's the thing. I think that a lot of people think I can get on this medicine, it will keep me from withdrawing, and I won't have to worry about anything. And getting sober and changing your life is so much more than just taking away your drug of choice. Like, it's so much more work to change your behaviors and be a better person. Like, I was so selfish, and I know you were probably the same way. I was so selfish in my addiction. Like, I didn't care about anybody but me. And now it's the opposite. Like, I put myself last and everybody else before me, because that's what helps me stay sober today. I'm just really grateful. I'm so glad that you started sharing about being on Sublocade, because I know that it's scary to come out and say, I'm on maintenance, because so many other addicts judge us. But you know what? If they're going to do that, then they're not worrying about what they're doing. They're not focusing on their recovery. And it really is just a reflection of how they're feeling on the inside about themselves.
Exactly.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's not.
The
Go ahead.
one thing I want to say, another bonus for Suboxone is, I've had discussions with people who are against Suboxone, and I've been able to drop it on them like, hey, I'm on that medicine, but I'm on a form that there's no abuse to it, and I'm telling you that medicine saved my life, and they could, and I think I might have changed a few people's opinions on it because they can't say I'm trying to do something to get high when I have, you know what I mean? Like,
Right. But
I'm
you
not
can't.
saying you can't get high on Suboxone anyways, but you know what I mean. Like,
But you really can't get high on Sublocade because you have
yeah.
no control over the medication. And so for those people that were like skeptical of Suboxone, Sublocade can help so many people. And then you can't say, oh, well, you're abusing your medication, because you're not, because you don't have control over it. So
Yeah.
I think it's a great tool, and I think we're going to see a lot more people getting from Suboxone to Sublocade, so that way they don't have to worry about handling their medicine or anything,
Yeah. Well, one more thing I wanted to add is if anyone has, that's one thing I offer on my channel. If anyone needs help, like with resources on getting insurance to get treatment or anything like that, I always tell people I'll gladly help them with that stuff. And Sublocade will be, I know state insurance will pay for it. Now it is a little footwork and a little bit of phone calls, but they will pay for it.
And you can help people, like you'll help them call around and get in touch with the right people they need to get in touch with, right?
Yep.
And I'm going to link your channel, like I do. I'm going to link it in the comments and in the description and on my community tab. And so I want everybody, we had like 20 people in here tonight. Now there's 14, but there was 20 at one point. So if everybody from this live stream will go over and subscribe to Jeff's channel, you guys, and just tell him that I sent you over there, and let's show him how much we support him and we love him and how proud of him we are for, sharing his story, because it's hard to come on and share your story to freaking a whole bunch of strangers. And, I'm proud of you. I think what you're doing is amazing. And I can see that you're like, how when you're watching somebody's channel and you just know that their intentions, they're genuine. Like I feel that from you. And also because I talked to you on the phone, so I feel like I kind of know you in real life anyway. But I just don't, like, for real, I'm not just having anyone on my channel. Do you know what I mean? Like, because then basically when I have you on my channel, that's like I'm backing what you say. You know what I mean? So I really have a lot of respect for you, man. And I'm so glad that you came on the channel and hung out with us tonight.
Hey, thank you so much, Saul.
All right. I love you. I'll talk to you later, okay?
You guys have a good one.
Bye. Hey. What's up, everybody? Hey, Bobby, I just read your rhyme right there. Hey, Eve. Hey, Goldust, what are you doing, girl? You ain't been here. It's okay. All right, you guys. I hope you enjoyed that little live stream with Jeff. He's a good guy, y'all. He's real sweet, and I'm sure on his channel, he's probably going to go into a lot more detail of his story and stuff on his own channel. So you guys all head over to his channel and subscribe and let him know that, I sent you over there. Hey, Jamie. Hey, Captain. And I really appreciate all you guys' support. I'm going to keep on getting with people and having them come on and share their story. Like I said, if any of you guys want to come on and share your story, just message me, text message me on the Real Talk Recovery phone, or email me or DM me and let me know, and we'll set up a time and a date for you to come on and share your story on a live stream. And you see how I do it. You won't be alone. I'll be up here with you, and I'll help kind of push you through the story if you get slipped up a little bit or whatever. But I really, really appreciate all of you guys. And, recovery is possible. And it doesn't matter if you got 1 day sober, 10 days sober, a week, 3 months, 100 days, a year, 2 years. It doesn't matter. Really, all we have is today. I went over to Leonard's channel, which is Her Opiate Fix, yesterday, and he was talking about clean time and how it's a joke, and what he was meaning is that all we have is today. I'm not guaranteed tomorrow. Do you know what I'm saying? I might wake up tomorrow and drop dead. I might wake up tomorrow and drive to the dope man's house. I don't know. I can't predict the future. So all I have is today. And I'm super grateful to be able to come on here and share with you guys and have this community of recovering addicts and alcoholics. And it's just, every time I see you guys in the comments helping each other, my heart just literally, it gets so big. Because I was reading y'all's comments while Jeff was telling his story. And I love you guys, and I'm proud of you guys. And I see y'all supporting each other and building each other up. And that's really all I ever wanted, was for there to be a community here on my channel of people who can support and help each other. So I love you guys. I'll see you probably tomorrow or the next day. I made chicken and dumplings. Oh, so good. And I got a big old pot of that. And then 2 or 3 days ago, I made a big old pot of broccoli and cheese soup. So it's cold here. I woke up this morning and it was cold. And I was like, yes, I love fall, y'all. So I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed the live stream, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right. I love y'all.